Armstrong.
Crowd. This is awesome. Yes, thank you all. I appreciate that round of applause. Good to see you all here. Welcome to NetApp's third customer jam session. Now, this is a smaller session than the big keynotes, and that's understandable, but that doesn't mean the learning is any less. In fact, it's going to get a little deeper, and it's all still being recorded and seen everywhere, so we really do want your participation. So that means, can you come on up a little bit? Please move closer to the stage. Feel free to hop up if you could. The panelists would really appreciate that. Don't be shy. You can come on up. I appreciate it. All right, so welcome back to the headliner stage for our customer jam session. Now, this one is on sustainability, and we've assembled like the Avengers lineup of industry leaders today. They're ready to chop it up about reducing the carbon footprint and protecting the planet with smarter processes. So here to facilitate that discussion, once again, we have your awesome moderator, acclaimed TV personality, tech correspondent, amazing human being. I said this yesterday, I say it again, we were just backstage having a great time. I want to bring out your moderator right now, Lisa Martin. Give her a round of applause. Yes. And I hear that you love giving high fives.
I do love high fives. You love high fives?
I love high fives.
Yes. Ooh, that was a good one. Hey, guys. Happy Wednesday. Great to see everyone again. I hope you've had a great event so far. You guys have had an amazing morning. How cool was that hearing from Timbaland? I fangirled backstage, I'll be honest. Well, he's been reshaping the world of music. Sustainability efforts have been shaping the way all of us do business, no matter the industry. This morning, I'm going to be joined by some great leaders that you're going to meet in just a second. From a leading electric car manufacturer to a higher education institution, life sciences organization, they're minimizing carbon footprints with high-performance technologies and making extraordinary advances in data storage efficiency to care for the planet and its future. We're going to learn about the twists and the turns and the challenges that are often faced in this very noble effort, and the technology solutions that have become keys to overcoming them. We'll meet our panelists in a minute, but watch this first. Please welcome my esteemed panelists from AstraZeneca, Director of Hybrid Platform Engineering, Enterprise Technology Services, Cloud and Infrastructure, Simon Klaus. Come on out, Simon. From Porsche Motorsport, Head of IT, Freedom and Kurz, and Professor of Numerical Analysis at TU Delft, and Scientific Director of the Delft High Performance Computing Center, Kees Valk. Hi, guys, welcome. Good to see you again. Happy Wednesday. Everybody good? Feeling good?
All good.
Not out late, too late last night?
It was a bit late, but
A bit late.
here,
Oh,
so.
he's Freedom's being honest. All right, guys, let's dig right in. This is such an important topic, sustainability. The Think Global, Act Local statement we make a lot, right? I want to start with Simon first and talk about what sustainability goals AstraZeneca has already hit, and what are some of the differences that you're already seeing?
Yeah, sure. So AstraZeneca being a science-led organization, way back in 2021, we were the first one of 7 organizations worldwide that had our scopes 1 to 3 targets verified by the Science Based Targets Initiative, which was a huge achievement, really. And that's really become our North Star in terms of what everything else follows on from and what we're targeted in terms of achieving from a sustainability objective.
Outstanding. Freedom, and talk about Porsche Motorsport. What are some of the Think Global, Act Local sustainability achievements you've made so far?
So, I mean, very different industry, of course, but Porsche Motorsport is competing in the Formula E now. Formula E is all electric. It's worldwide. We race in cities. We travel to all cities around the world, and we share one message. We share the message that e-mobility is fun, it's fast, and it's ready for everyday's use. And yeah, that's great fun to showcase that sustainability is not just like one or the other. It could be fun and it could be sustainable at the same time.
Fun and sustainable without having to make a compromise? I like that. Kees, tell us a little bit first about TU Delft. Give us a bit of an insight into the organization, and then talk to us about some of the sustainability efforts and initiatives that are already making an impact.
Yeah, thank you very much. Delft University of Technology is not an industry, so different from the other two. And I think we have we can divide it into two parts. One part is the organization. So Delft University wants to be climate neutral in 2030, and we are working hard to achieve that. For instance, nowadays we drill for hot water at 2 kilometer depth to have geothermal heating, so that is going on. But on the other hand, we have our students, and I think that's our most important product, what we can deliver to the people, to the world. And in that, we find it very, very important that we learn them also to develop new things, new technologies, design things, in order to have a sustainable future, to have a sustainable world. And I think that's one of our main issues and one of our main goals to achieve that.
Very noble effort. So we heard about TU Delft. You talked a little bit about Porsche Motorsport. Before we move on, Simon, give the audience, in case you're not familiar with AstraZeneca, just give them a little bit of a background.
Yeah, sure. So AstraZeneca is a global pharmaceutical company dedicated really to transforming healthcare worldwide. Me personally, I work in IT, so my aim is to support the organization achieve its strategic aims.
Excellent. Let's talk about a term you've probably all heard, greenwashing, right? How do you avoid greenwashing and really demonstrate transparent sustainability? Friedemann, let's start with you at Porsche Motorsport.
No, that's a question we are asked often, to be honest, because racing and sustainability, it doesn't fit necessarily in the first sight. But it's very important that Formula E is the first sport ever that is carbon net zero certified. So it means the whole series is certified as carbon neutral. And even more important, we are trying to edge our technology to make it capable to charge faster, to drive faster, to be more comprehensive in a way to use it. And all that is packaged into a race series, so it's a lot of fun to watch it. You definitely should do it in case you haven't watched the race yet. And that message is so important to tell, to change something in the world. And so that's why I don't see it as greenwashing. It's just about bringing out the message and changing something in a wider behavior of people. That's all what it's about.
And you're demonstrating it. You can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it. You can't hear it, but you can do all those things.
Still, there is sound. It's different,
it is. Yes. Kees, tell us a little bit about, you're doing such great work at the university, and I love the angle of education and awareness, because it sounds to me like you're really driving a cultural change with those students. The term greenwashing, how does the university avoid that, be transparent, and really demonstrate the results you're achieving to date?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think that knowledge is very important. So it is, let's say, easy to have a lot of claims which are not, let's say, not physical relevant or not physical possible. So that's one of the important things we try to learn our students to be critical thinkers, and to develop the knowledge, the mathematics, the physics, the computer science, in order to see what really happens. On the other hand, I think it's also important to have another color, so black and white. So greenwashing, I think, is not always black and white. It can also somewhat in between. You can also have what we call dual technology. So, for instance, for this geothermal heating, we have to know how the water flows in the underground. But the technology can also be used to produce oil or gas. So is that greenwashing, or is it, dual technology? So I think it's easy to say something like greenwashing, but it's better to go deeper into it. And maybe it could also be a good idea if people make that, or industries make that claim, that there will be some governmental or some agency that can check these claims and put a stamp on it if it is correct. And then we have less, I think, greenwashing.
Yeah, absolutely. Simon, what are your thoughts? And how does AstraZeneca demonstrate it and avoid the greenwashing term?
I think the main thing is to keep the model simple. So if you're developing a model to demonstrate what your carbon emissions are, keep the model as simple as possible. You only need a couple of input parameters to work out what your carbon emissions are. It's what's your power consumption and where's that power consumed? And then you can work out your carbon emissions associated with that. It's as simple as that. When people start to bring in things like renewable energy and then all the acronyms around that, like RECs and REGOs and GOs and PPAs and VPPAs and PPPAs, et cetera, then it can become very, very murky and not at all transparent. So we need to have transparency. So coming back to Key's point about industry recognise, again, the Science-Based Targets Initiative is key to that. And since we signed up to that in 2021, as I said, that's something that we're focused on. So look for organisations that are signed up to SBTI. Have they had their targets verified independently by somebody? What are those targets? When are they going to achieve those targets? We're working hard with our procurement team within AstraZeneca to ensure that the top 75% of our suppliers are signed up to SBTI by the end of 2023. That's top 75% by spend. By the end of 2025, we're hoping to get 95% of those top suppliers signed up to SBTI. That's billions of dollars that we spend with these suppliers. It's not small amount of money. So we're driving those discussions, making sure that we're partnering with organizations that are committed to the same commitments that we've got so that we're aligned.
That alignment is absolutely critical. It's not something, and what you've all talked about is the transparency, demonstrating the actual results, keeping things simple. I love that. Mario, I want to go to you in the audience. I know you got a burning question for us.
So I walked around and talked to some of the people that were in the back, and I do have a burning question that came in from an Insight attendee here. This is for the panel, Lisa. When it comes to building a more sustainable infrastructure, what tools and technologies do you all rely on?
Friedemann, take it away.
Yeah, maybe I have to explain a bit on how IT operation works at a motorsport environment. So we are traveling, we have mobile data centers at the racetracks. And for us, it was always a huge effort to carry that around the world. In the past, we had 3 full-size racks, full with compute, full with storage. And now, since Formula E is trying to lower emission, it's important to also lower the effort for transportation. And we ended up with the next season, we have 0 racks on site at the racetrack. 0 racks, no computer racks anymore. We have 1 single server, including storage and compute, built into the walling of the whole garage build-up, so it's invisible in the walling. So new form factor, if you want so. And to achieve it, we migrated a lot of our data and our compute into the cloud, but still we have the opportunity on the edge, so at the racetrack, to do some compute as a backup scenario and also for low latency scenarios. So it's a hybrid cloud approach, and thanks to NetApp, we applied the ONTAP, the cloud volume ONTAP, where the master of the data is stored, but at the same time with the global file cache technology from NetApp, we are able to have, with a low amount of storage on site at the racetrack, still the important files cached, so everyone can access them, but without having to synchronize all the data we are having in our data center. So, yeah, great achievement, form factor reduction, transportation reduction, and all seamless for the end user, plus without additional effort or costs, easy to handle. So that was the big achievement of the last 2 seasons.
That's remarkable. I love how every industry can learn from these folks. What Porsche's doing and what you're demonstrating is phenomenal. And you're going to what? How many races, how many different times are they setting this up? 12, 16?
So 16 in total in 12 different cities over the last season. So a lot of traveling, a lot of effort for building it up, but we improve continuously. That's all racing is about, is never stop, always improve. So, yeah.
Never stop, always improve. I love that. Case, talk about some of the tools and the technologies that you're using to really build a more sustainable infrastructure.
Yes. On one hand, I would like to start by saying that we not only use tools and technologies, but we develop them. So the tools and technologies are developed at the university. So I think that is a very important part. On the other hand, we have to teach the students and also to teach them to make them better for the future engineer. How does it look like? And we think, or we are that they need to know high-performance computing, they need to know AI, they need to know all these new tools and technologies which are developed in our university or other universities, but also the students have to learn to use them. In order to facilitate that at the Delft University of Technology, we recently installed a new supercomputer, Delft Blue, which is based on Fujitsu technology for the computing and on NetApp for the storage. And I think it was a very nice combination. And we like also the partnership to get the best out of the, let's say, different possibilities, both as an educational institute, but also for computing and for storage. So, and yeah, we have a very low threshold for the students. So in principle, all the students can make access to the computer for a very tiny amount of time. But then if they need it for their master project or for the bachelor project, then they have only to send one email or to fill in one form and they get access and can do their job. So I think it was very successful. We see many students working on it and talking about it, and we want to develop that further. So we are now in the second stage, but in the future, hopefully, we get better and better, and also more, let's say, advanced things. We have now CPUs and GPUs. We can go to FPGAs, quantum computing in the far future. So we are excited about that.
It's a journey, but it sounds like you're well on your way and the foundation is really set. Simon, bringing you back into the conversation, give us that snapshot. I had to say that, pun intended, snapshot, about AstraZeneca and what you're using tools, technologies-wise, to really build a sustainable infrastructure.
Yeah, well, I tend to use a strapline, I think you might call it a tagline in the US, which is to run business value workloads on optimized infrastructure in the lowest carbon intense location only for the duration of need. And if you stick with that tagline or strapline, then I think things will drop out from that will be truly sustainable.
That's outstanding. Let's kind of look forward into your next chapters. Case, we're going to start with you. What are some of the most important challenges that you and the university are tackling next?
Yeah, so there are many of them. So I think they are well known. You can think about the climate, you can think about energy, you can think about water, seawater rise, which is very important for the Netherlands because half of the Netherlands is below seawater level, so important. And they are all connected. So energy is connected with the climate is connected with the seawater. So that's very important. And yeah, there are also our challenges to do that. So in climate, for instance, we are working at the Delft University to compute or simulate clouds. So not cloud computing, but simulate real clouds, thunderstorms, etc. Because it could be that 20% of the temperature rise is influenced by the formation of clouds or the disappearance of clouds. And that in the current models, it is impossible to have that. So they don't know how to include that. So we are working hard to make that possible. And both on one hand on simulations, but also a tremendous amount of measurements. So we have in the building where I teach, it's a very high-rise building, and on the top of that we have radars who are scanning the sky for water, for clouds, etc., which means an enormous amount of measurements, and so a lot of storage and memory is needed to have that, combine it with model, and then see if we have the good model or not, if we do the good simulation. So that are one of the challenges, but there are many more, but let us stop with that.
I'm sure, well, like we said, it's a journey. So you have to obviously pick and prioritize. Simon, same question for you. Looking ahead, crystal ball, magic 8 ball, what are some of the most important challenges that AstraZeneca is saying we're going to face it head on?
Yeah, so I think it's potentially proliferation of data. We sit on hundreds of petabytes of data that's got immense value to an organization like ours. So unlocking the value of that data is critical, really. So we've got to use the data in a more agile manner for bigger business value or higher business value, etc. So we've got to work hard at that without duplicating the data, because obviously duplicating the data drives up power consumption and sustainability goes down.
Yeah.
So you've got to do it in a smart way. So how can we maximize the value of this huge amount of data that we sat on? How can we replicate it in a smart manner across the globe, or partially replicate that subset of data so that it can be used in a more dynamic, real-time manner to solve critical problems that the business wants to solve without taking full copies of data, of imaging or genomic sequencing, etc., without taking full copies of that data and replicating it around the globe, which is not a sustainable approach.
Right.
So we've got to look at how technology can help us achieve that, unlock the power of the data, but present the data at the point of need so it can be analyzed and we can make real breakthroughs in terms of drug discovery.
Present the data at the point of need. I love that. Friedemann, same question to you. For Porsche Motorsport, for Formula E, what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing head-on to solve in the next chapter?
There are two major ones, I would say. The one is really obvious. Season 10 of Formula E is about to start. So we need to be successful there. We need to win races. We want to be the champions. So that's number one challenge, and that's a real challenge. You can believe competition is high. But when it comes more to technology, with what was mentioned, the availability, the simplicity of compute causes that engineers are using it more and more, which is super positive because you run more simulations, you find more results, and that's very positive. And we want to engage them to do so. It's great. But on the other side, of course, that costs are rising, and somehow it's not controllable because we want them to access it easily. And so our next big challenge is to optimize the usage of the cloud in a way that it's more balanced. We have many peaks in usage of compute because we have a race weekend, so high needs of simulation and compute power. Then we have other phases, maybe there is a break, we don't need any compute. And so we're currently starting to implement Spot Ocean for our Kubernetes clusters. And let's see if that is keeping the availability for the end users and at the same time making it more affordable for us as well.
Absolutely, affordability is key.
I have a question about this.
Please.
Yeah. So you are talking about a lot of these simulations, measurements, etc. I know for Formula One there is a cap on the money they can use for simulations.
That's a great point.
Is that the same for?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have a cost cap in Formula E as well, and we cannot spend more money than the cost cap is giving us. So even though we would have more, or it's not possible, and so it's even more important to really think about where every euro is invested in, and if we can cut compute costs, cloud costs, that can be used then for developing a more powerful battery or other things. So that's really key about being efficient. Yeah.
That's a great point, Case. Thank you for bringing that up. I think all the lessons we're learning from Porsche, I'm like, cost cap, that's probably something that we should all bring in our daily lives. Much harder to do.
But don't we all have cost caps in our companies? I think so.
Really? No? Limitless budgets? Not here? Let's now kind of take an industry approach. And Simon, I want to start with you and really get your take on the technologies that you think have had the biggest impact on sustainability in life sciences.
Yeah, so I think it's back to AI and ML and GPUs, and the use of those type of technologies are critical, really, in terms of drug discovery. But they've got to be used wisely. You know, the use of GPUs, they're very, very power intensive. It's not instead of other technologies, it's as well as. So the kind of carbon emissions are constantly increasing due to that. So we've got to use them in a smart way. But probably back to the strapline as well, use them in a location that's got low carbon emissions. So we have 3 data centers in Sweden, very, very low carbon emissions associated with power generation in Sweden. We have a public cloud presence in Sweden as well. Again, same thing. So using them there is potentially 10 times lower carbon emissions than if we were to use them, say, on the east coast of the US, in Maryland or in North Virginia. So where you use the technology is as important as what technology you're using and how you're using that technology. So I think you've got to keep an eye on that and make sure you're using it wisely and in the right location for the biggest benefit. But with a sustainability cap or an eye on that sustainability.
That's a great point in terms of where you're using the technology and the impact that it makes. Friedemann, what are some of, for Formula E, for your industry, electric cars, what are some of the technologies that have made the biggest impact on sustainability that we can see so far?
Not just for the IT perspective, but in general, in e-mobility, I think it's the development in batteries and in the whole electrical powertrains that was done over the last years, and that's a great achievement already. And I think we all read many articles that there is even more to come when it comes to battery technology. So I think the battery for future mobility will be the biggest impact on the industry, and that's kind of the new engine. So the ones with the best batteries will have the best products in the end. And of course, those batteries need to be powered somehow. So that's what Simon mentioned. We need to make sure also that the whole supply chain of the batteries and also the supply chain to charge them, the energy that is coming into the batteries, is produced in a sustainable way as well.
I love how we're hearing just the influence and the impact that these industries are having on so many other industries. Kees, what are, from all the research that you're doing, the education that you're doing of the students, what are some of the technologies that you have seen make the biggest impact on sustainability so far?
Yeah, so again, I think on one hand we are using technologies, on the other hand we are developing technologies, and I think that is one of the important things we want to stress or to make, that students, it is easy if you have to do, for instance, an AI job, to ask for more hardware, to ask for more resources. But we try to make them think if this is really needed, if do I have to do this computation or not, and do I use the best technology for that. And the same for simulations, computational fluid dynamic simulations, cloud simulations. Can we make the algorithms more efficient? I think that's also a lot of sustainability, because if they can run 2 times faster or 2 times less energy, that would be very, very important. And that is something we try to learn our students, but also we are very active in research to make robust, optimal, efficient algorithms to do the simulations. And there is an important issue that on one hand we can have very nice algorithms, but if the technology, if the CPUs or if the GPUs are changing, we have to adapt. And that is, I think, one of our main points that we want to do both in research and also in teaching the students to use the best technology, read algorithms or AI software to get their answers.
I love the impact that you're having on an entire generation and probably more to come at the university. That's phenomenal. Friedemann, I want to talk to you about, I always say like F1 cars, Formula E cars is like IoT devices. There's a million sensors, maybe not quite a million. But what role do you see the Internet of Things playing in sustainability?
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. A race car, and I think that applies to almost all classes of race cars, they include a lot of sensors, a lot of data is collected, the data is progressed, we're finding optimization in the data, how to make the cars faster. And in addition to that, we also measure the environmental conditions like temperatures, track temperature, weather is really important for racing. So there's a lot of data collected by IoT devices. And I mean, taking that to a wider scale, to the automotive market maybe, you can consider every car on the road as an IoT device. And imagine now if we would use that data on the behavior, how cars are moved, how long the distances are they are traveling. We can optimize the range of the cars. We can maybe provide public transportations for the frequently used distances that are traveled with cars. So I think, with having a connected and intelligent network of, in this example, cars, you definitely can change something towards sustainability.
Absolutely. Kees, what are your thoughts on IoT and the impact that you're already seeing in sustainability?
Yeah, I think there can be and there is a lot of impact if we use the Internet of Things. But there are also a couple of questions. Some questions can be on privacy, so you have a lot of your information is stored somewhere. Where is somewhere, and who is have access to that? So that's one of the things which is very important. Another thing is also to think about how it is accepted. So as an engineer, you can think about many nice things, but if the general public doesn't accept it, then it will not be used. So that is also an important department or faculty in our university that they think about it. So how, if you have new technology, is it accepted or not? And if it is not accepted, why? And can we have a better design such that people accept it? So that I think is a very important thing. Something else, so maybe it is not Internet of Things, but you can also think about these radars in our university that pick up all this measurements from the clouds, etc. And that can be used, for instance, to have a digital twin to try to do things with the weather or with the climate on one hand and feed in all these measurements and to have a better simulation. So that could be another one which will be very important for sustainability.
Go ahead.
If I may add, I think it's really important not to misuse the data. So like, we don't need personal data to achieve what I had in my example, to see driving behavior in a global way. We don't need the personal data, and as long as we don't need it, we shouldn't use it. That's definitely important, to have the trust of the people and not misuse the data. I think that applies to many other examples as well, where personal data is just taken but without a real benefit.
Right, that's a great point. Your point on trust. Trust is currency these days. Using data, only data that's really going to be impactful. Casey, you bring up a great point about acceptance on the IoT side. I never thought about that, but you're right. Simon, what are you seeing in terms of IoT's impact on sustainability? Do you kind of have similar thoughts to these guys?
Yeah, I guess I'm a bit conflicted because I wouldn't want to see proliferation of IoT just for the sake of it. You know, it's got to add value and perform a job. So that's one hand. But if you look at kind of the drug manufacturing process, if we can use IoT down at the production line level and analyze drugs on the production line to avoid wastage, then it's a huge benefit. So something like computer vision at the production line would be hugely beneficial, so that we can spot deviations in drug manufacturing process and stop it and fix it before a whole batch is created and needs to be thrown away. Because that's not only millions of dollars of drugs that needs to be thrown away, it's a huge amount of energy that's gone into the creation of those drugs in that batch, a huge amount of water as well, actually, in the creation of those drugs. So, you know, we're avoiding wastage is key, really. So I think IoT can be really beneficial down at the drug manufacturer level and also at the packaging level. So if there's a problem with the drug packaging, with the blister packs, then we can stop that as soon as possible and fix it at source and avoid all that wastage. And obviously that improves our sustainability approach.
I feel like sustainability is like an onion. The more layers we peel, the more things we learn, the more opportunities we discover. But you're all making such great cases for pragmatism, transparency, demonstration, acceptance. I love that. I want to talk now about how you maybe would advise some of the folks in the audience to make the business case to support sustainability with their organizations. Simon, what would you advise?
I think if you have to have a business case for sustainability, then we've got it all wrong, would be the first thing that I would say. It needs to be just part of the day job. You know, it needs to be part of the solutions that we're developing. So we've adopted an approach with our solution blueprint. So when we create a new IT solution, we score that solution from a sustainability point of view. So asking questions like, how much data we're creating, how many environments do we need, you know, where is the system going to be hosted, etc., where in the world. So we're asking all these questions to try and nudge people in the right direction so that the outcome and the IT solution is as sustainable as possible, and we give it a rating accordingly. So I think if you have to do a separate business case, it's a problem. So it should be just part, really, of the process and the day job rather than something separate.
Part of the DNA.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's absolutely part of the DNA of AstraZeneca. Friedemann, what are your thoughts on making the case for it? Do you agree with what Simon was saying, is that it should be part of what we do culturally as a business, as an organization?
Absolutely, I'm totally with you, Simon. And not just applies to sustainability, but to many things. We had many talks about the security, and those things, they need to come by design when we create new products, when we create new solutions. Sustainability as well should come by design when we're creating intelligent solutions in the future. Nevertheless, I mean, it's, again, for me, not one or the other, it's both. It's sustainability, as I mentioned earlier, can be fun. We showcase it every race weekend. And sustainability at the same time also can create business cases in a way that we're getting more efficient. What we did, definitely, we have less compute, less servers. That saves costs, and at the same time, it's more sustainable. So there are many cases where, even on a short-term perspective, it can save money. And I mean, I think everyone agrees in a long-term perspective, it's definitely a business case, because we are not sustainable. The costs for everything will explode at some point because food is getting more expensive. And so on a global scale, I mean, there shouldn't be any doubt about that there is a business case on sustainability.
It should be, I love your point, it's sustainability by design. Case, what are your thoughts on that? Obviously different organizationally at the higher education institution, but what are your thoughts?
Yes, so in that sense, the business case is somewhat difficult to talk about the business case. On the other hand, I think it's very important also for universities to think about it and see what you can do. One of the activities we have done in the Netherlands, not only for the TU Delft, but for the whole Netherlands, is that we have made a national agenda for computational sciences for a sustainable future. So I think that is spot on what we are talking about today. And also in the university, Delft University of Technology, we try to stimulate students to think about it. And therefore we have a couple of 10 or 12 so-called dream teams. And then depends, for instance, we have also Formula Student Racing. They have a dream team of around 110 students for different faculties. They find their own funding. They have also done simulations on the Delft Blue supercomputer, so that was also very nice for us. But I think it's very important for the students. Solar racing, that was another TU Delft activity. I think it's very important for the students. They learn a lot if they are in such a group, but also for, let's say, to show it to the outside. And it's not only we are talking about it, but we are doing it.
Yes.
So do what you talk about, or practice what you preach.
Absolutely.
And I think that is, maybe I would not say it is a business case, but on the other hand, I think it attracts also nice students, because students, young people, they have some ideals, and they sustainability, climate, that's very important for them. And if we can show we are working on that, look, here we have these dream teams, I think they will attract, and also staff.
Yeah,
we see that if we are working on sustainability, that helps to attract brilliant staff.
That's a great point.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it becomes a flywheel. Final question, guys, moonshot. If you could solve one impossible challenge, what would it be? Simon?
I think I'd go for drug discovery. So if we could discover a new drug in a novel way 10 times quicker than the normal process, but without incurring 10 times more the emissions, then that would really be a moonshot.
I love that. Friedemann, besides winning the title for Porsche, what is the one moonshot? If you could solve one impossible challenge, talk to us about what that would be.
I hope winning the title won't be a moonshot. That should be a bit easier, hopefully.
Good point.
But no, I think when it comes to the challenges of the human mankind in today and in the closer future, it's about finding sources of clean energy, because we need energy. There is no alternative to using energy. Otherwise, we wouldn't have lights here, no video broadcasting, nothing. So we need sustainable resources for energy. And after the talks yesterday, with the new technologies that are developed for fusion reactors, for instance, I really got some hope, but also arriving here in Vegas, flying over the desert, there's so much space and sunny, so with solar energy, I think there are solutions to it, but we need to get it done now.
The time is now. Case, what's your moonshot?
Yeah, so I like also to motivate the moonshots. We can go from very broad to somewhat more narrow. So I think 3 of the main difficulties of mankind are climate change, seawater rising, it's related, and energy. Climate change and seawater rising, I think, are, if you do something now, it can take 10, 20, 30 years before you see the effect. I think with respect to energy, we can do things which have already an impact now or in the near future. And I agree with the point that we have there is enough energy. So if you look at the energy which is coming from the sun every day, we need only 1% or less to drive everything we have. The most difficult thing is that we have the energy in the wrong place at the wrong time. So here we have a lot of energy, but we need it maybe in Alaska to heat homes. So how can we transport them? So I think that is one of the big problems in energy. So the energy networks. And if I go down one step lower, then the electricity power networks, I think they are very, very important. And due to these new developments, it's more and more difficult to keep them robust, safe, etc. So for me or for the TU Delft, a moonshot would be if you can build a digital twin for the European power network.
Wow, those are some amazing moonshots, aren't they? I told you when I opened this panel that the noble efforts that these 3 organizations are doing to really protect the future and improve our planet. I love it. Case Friedemann, Simon, thank you so much for joining us, sharing not just the tremendous impact that you're making with sustainability on your industries, but the lives, the students, the education case that you're impacting, not just electric cars, but all the other industries, Friedemann, that are going to be able to benefit from the technologies and the processes you're putting in place. And of course, AstraZeneca, you're literally talking about saving lives. You guys have been brilliant. How about a round of applause for our amazing panel? Thank you so much, guys. Outstanding. I'm going to turn things back over to Mario now. Thank you all.